All right, so welcome to Kolel Kol Shira and Breslov.org. Okay, we're going to do our Hachanis now for Chanukah. We're going to start. So if you remember, guys, we learned back 3 weeks ago. We were learning about Yitzchak, where Yitzchak Avinu loved Esav, and Yitzchak Avinu was always with Tzayid Bepiv. Remember, we learned that concept was Tzayid Bepiv, and we were saying that Yaakov Avinu, Yitzchak Avinu was trying to make a tikkun for the Mizbaich, because Yitzchak Avinu, remember, Yitzchak Avinu was a carbon that was placed on the Mizbaich, and Yitzchak Avinu was making a tikkun for the karbanis of the Avodah Zarah that was going on in his time, and via doing that, he was a tikkun. So he was under the assumption that Asa was bringing him the food because he wanted the same way when the Kaihanim would eat, the Bailim, the owners would get the kapara via them eating, and the whole idea is to bring up the aspirus, the beauty, the splendor of Klal Yisrael. And that's what he was trying to do, and that's what Asa was. So now we're going to continue this concept over here. So this is an interesting thing. It's found in Likutei Halachos and Choshen Mishpat in Tayim V'Nita. Okay, if someone's trying to collect and although they're very, very complicated halachas, but this came up in there, so I just wanted to bring this in for you. Okay, guys, here we go. Ki Malchus Harishah Gazra Oz Hagizera Rois Al Yisrael Hamuvayim Batayra Now. We know that they brought up the Yevanim brought terrible edicts. They put terrible edicts, terrible Gizeris on Klal Yisrael. Shlo Yimalu Es B'neihem, that we weren't able to give the circumcisions to our children. V'yichalu Es Shabbos, they didn't let us keep the Shabbos. They wanted us specifically to defile the Shabbos. V'chishku Es Yisrael b'tzaraseya, shal yedei zeh and they understood that that's what the Yevanim were trying to do. They wanted to vanquish us more in Golus. They wanted to take all the good and put the good into Golus. And we know that the Shabbos is Mikar HaBrocha. Shabbos, Mila. Mila is what sets us aside. Mila is Lamala Min HaTeva. So they wanted to take away the fundamental things from Klal Yisrael. But what happened? And when the few Chashmonaim were able to go out and fight this world power at the time, it was an amazing thing. A few guys went out, a few yeshiva guys went out, and they were up against the greatest technology, war technology of the time. It's fascinating. What happened? Uvanav v'nitzchum, and they were victorious against this mighty army. Could you imagine what that's like? Could you imagine what that's like? You have let's say let's say you would have the Russian army out there, right? And a couple of guys are going to go out and defeat the Russian army. Could you imagine that? But that's what the Chashmonaim, this is what was going on. The Yevanim were like the Russians, were like the Americans at the time. They were the world leaders at the time, but they were able to be menatzeach on them. What happened? I can't hear you, Marty. You want to say that one more time?
Trying to hijack a plane. Like Yosef Mandelovich trying to get out of Russia.
There you go. Okay, now look. Now, they were able to take back the toiv, the goodness, all of the Torah, the mitzvahs, everything. They were able to take it back that they vanquished from them. By nishlam Mizbaich, and they were able to be mishalim. They were able to fulfill the Mizbaich, and that's why we say on Chanukah, all Chanukah long, we say Mizbaich Chanukah Sabayis L'David, right? We say Mizbaich Chanukah Sabayis every day. We say that. Why? Because that was again the purification and the reunification of the Mizbaich. The Mizbaich was defiled; they couldn't use the Mizbaich, but then it was reunited. We were reunited with the Mizbaich. V'zeh bechinas Chanukah, bechinas Chanukah samizbeach. The Chanukah is nishlam hayedei hatoiv hakavish ha'itziu min hagolus, and that was the toiv that we took out of golus, that we were able to take away from them. That's what we were able to get, and we were able to bring back, to take back the Mizbeach. Hayedei shleimus hamizbeach, through the fulfillment of the Mizbeach. Hayedei zeh nishlam or ha'seichel v'royin or ha'tzadik shemegala his spirus. And through that, we were able to be mashlim, the aura seichel, the light of our seichel, of our knowledge, v'royin, and we're able to see aura tzaddik shemegala aspirus, that showed the splendidness of Klal Yisrael. What was that? We know that we had the Chashmonaim, right? And they were able to show the spirus of Klal Yisrael, how we were able to find that little jar of oil that was munach b'chaisma shel kohen gadol, right? And we were able to then light them in Noira, and then to reenact the karbanis. V'zeh bechinas or chanik shu bechinas or atzadik shemamshichem bechinas or zaru al atzadik shayidei zeh niskala spirus shel Yisrael. Through that, when we show the greatness of the tzaddikim, when we show the greatness of tzaddikim, when we give credence to the tzaddikim, that shows the spirus of Klal Yisrael. That shows the splendor of Klal Yisrael. Shayidei zeh taikif hanei shedolak haner b'nei shmeina yamim. And we know that the candles stayed lit for what? For 8 days. Shayidei zeh niskala b'chol habriya v'chiyusa v'kiyuma ayidei Yisrael ad sheyicholim lahamshich or haner sheyadlik b'nei kazeh. That we via us, is showing our appreciation at the time to the Chashmonaim and what they did and how they saved us, that they took us out. And we gave them the right, and we did the right thing. We did what we were supposed to do. Through that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the nes. He gave us the nes that the candles were able to stay lit for seven more days. Right? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes the aspirus, the covet, the splendor of Klal Yisrael. That's the covet of Hashem. When we have aspirus, when we give HaKadosh Baruch Hu splendid, when we show that, and we're special to one another, and we give covet to the tzaddikim, this is the covet of Hashem. Bechinas al Yisrael gavosai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes his gaiva on Klal Yisrael. Shem Yisroimim kiviyachal. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is elevated through us kiviyachal. Kivoid malchusa gdulosay tfarta yayidei Yisrael, through Yisrael. Vayidei zeh meya or gadol b'cholay lamois, and that shows the great light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in all of the worlds. Ki kivoidai bechinas. Let me just turn the page.
I know a store where they take stuff, volunteer stuff, they just.
Okay. Okay, the land is illuminated through covet. And that's why we light the Ner Chanukah every single year. And we know that we're supposed to give a little more tzedakah when it comes to Chanukah. We fulfill this through us giving the tzedakah. To buy beloved things, dear things for the Yom Tov, by us giving us the money to the tzaddikim, like the splendid, like we have a friendship with the aniyim. We give them what they need. And that's how we can be mashlim the Mizbaich every single year. And that's why we always talk about Chazois Chanukah Samizbeach. The Torah reading on the Torah reading on Chanukah, it ends off on Zayis Chanukah, Zayis Chanukah Samizbeach. The whole theme of Chanukah is the Mizbeach, the menorah and the Mizbeach. And that's how we can be mayor the aura of the tzaddikim v'niskala aspires k'vayda shel Hashem yisbarach hu b'chinas or gadol. That's a great light. Why anyone say something? All this is from the light of the ner Chanukah. B'chinas or neiros hamenorah. When we light the menorah, how special it is. What a special mitzvah we have. Every single yid is like the kohen. Every single yid is like the kohen lighting the menorah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes a beautiful aspirus in Klal Yisrael via us lighting the menorah. And don't take it lightly. It's a very, very, very special mitzvah. Shem Eidos Shashchina Shoyra B'Yisrael. That's the Eidos. That's the testimony that the Shechina stays by Klal Yisrael. Ki mimena haya maschil. Because that's where it started. Hainu Hashem Yisbarach Mispoya B'Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes his splendor in Klal Yisrael. V'yisad Nisam B'Shvilam. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu does miracles for us. Umanik ha'olam. And he runs the world Kiritzaynam to the way we want. To the way we want. Isn't that nice? Isn't that what this is what all our friends are saying in the world today? They're saying that Hashem does, we run the world, right? It's true. It's true. See that? It's true. The tzaddikim say that. It's true. We can run the world. We can shut them up also. We can shut those guys up also. How do we do that? By being mechavid tzaddik, by being mechavid ourselves, by doing things and getting together closer with Klal Yisrael to show a chavivas in Klal Yisrael. Via doing that, we shut them up. Ki b'shvilam nivra hakol, because yes, everything was created for us. Everything was created for Yisrael. Hakol b'shvilam miskayim. Hakol, everything stays in existence because of Klal Yisrael. Hainu b'shvilas pyrus shemekabel mehem b'chol dar v'dar b'chol shana v'shana b'chol yoyim v'yoyim. Every single day, every single year, every single moment, every single thing is happening because of Klal. So, like we started off saying, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants our Torah learning. HaKadosh Baruch Hu scattered us around the world so that should be in different time zones. So that way we should always be learning Torah. Amazing, right? An amusing idea. So let's see now. I want to tell you a beautiful ma'aseh now. That maybe can help us understand this. So if you want, can I tell you a ma'aseh now, guys?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So there's a beautiful story that took place actually in America. There was a family that had a son, a little boy, and this little boy had some kind of a problem with a brain aneurysm or something. He had some kind of a terrible problem, and there was a little. The boy had a little sister. She was 8 years old, and the sister overheard her parents talking, and the father said that really, we need a miracle. We need really a miracle. We can't get the surgeon. We can't afford what our son needs. We mamish need a miracle. We need a miracle. So this little girl heard this, that we need a miracle. So this little girl decided that she's going to go. She had a little jar. And she had some money in there. So she took out her jar, and she spilled out the coins. And she had $1.11. That's what she had, $1.11. And what she did was she put the money in her pocket, and she went to the pharmacy. She went to the pharmacy, and she was waiting her turn. She was waiting her turn at the pharmacy. Now if you go to in Eretz Yisrael, if you see an 8-year-old girl in the pharmacy, it's no big deal. It's common. But in America, you don't find too many times an 8-year-old girl in the pharmacy, right? That's not a common thing, right? So the pharmacist saw that this girl was there, and she waited her turn. It was Taka her turn, but he was talking. The pharmacist was talking to a very well-dressed fellow who was behind the counter with him. He was talking to him. Now the little girl was getting impatient. It's my turn. So she started banging her coins on the counter. She started banging on. So the pharmacist saw that she was getting a little bit annoyed. So he said to the gentleman, "Please, I'll be back 1 second. I got to just deal with the girl." So he says, "How may I help you?" She says, "Listen, I need to buy a miracle. I came to buy a miracle." So he said, "What do you mean you want to buy a miracle?" "I need a miracle. So I came to the bar. I want to buy from you a miracle. How much does a miracle cost?" So the pharmacist said, "What do you mean? We don't sell miracles. Listen, if it's a matter of money, I have $1.11. If I need more money, tell me. I'll get more money. I need a miracle." So the pharmacist is so the man standing next to her, he overhears what's going on, and he says to the little girl, he says to her, he bends down to the little girl, and he said, "What's the situation?" So she said, my brother has some kind of a brain thing. I don't even understand what's going on. But my father said that he needs a miracle. He needs either a brain surgeon or he needs a miracle. So the gentleman said to the girl, he says, "Tell me, what's your address? What's your address? What's your name? What's your address?" So she gave it to him. And he said, "Listen, I'm a doctor, and I'm going to come over to see your little brother. I'm going to come over right now to see your little brother." And what happened was he was actually a brain surgeon, and he was able to help the brother, and he took care of everything. So what do you see from a story like this? What do you see from a story like this? Here you have a girl, mamish with emunah pshuta. Emunah pshuta. My father said I need a miracle. So I go to the pharmacy. I need to buy a miracle. I want to buy a miracle. I have $1.11. I have $1.11. And what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that mamish was so special. And this doctor that was there was the brother of the pharmacist. How he was there, mamish, at that time. He came at that time to be with her with his brother at that time. And at that time is the time that little girl came in and needed the miracle. So what I want to say is like this: anytime we need something, anything we need, if we understand that it's all Me'ez Hashem, like we're trying to learn in all the lessons that we're learning, everything happens because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wills it. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't will something, it won't happen. And if we take that to heart, and we always believe that every answer is found by the Rebbeinu Shalom. The answer is not found by people. It's not found by places. It's found by Hashem. And if we understand that, and any time, Chas v'Shalom, we have any kind of problems, and if we realize that we turn to the Rebbeinu Shalom, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Roifei Chol Basar, it's all Hashem. And if we give the proper credence to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, via us doing that, we can see the greatest Yeshuas. That'll give us the greatest Yeshuas. The same way this little girl was able to have a Yeshua. The same way we learned from the holy Majid, Rabbi Saul Majid, his yard side, like we said again today, and we learned the Torah from him, from his father. That story with the storekeeper, right? Well, one more time with the storekeeper, that it was the market day. And on that market day, there was a group of bandits that wanted to rob his store blind. So one of the bandits came into the store and stole something, and he ran out. And they thought that what was going to happen? The storekeeper will go run after him. Hey, listen, you stole from me. And meanwhile, the other thieves will go in there and rob the whole store. But he understood that. He understood that it's Me'ez Hashem, that this happened. And he understood that I'm not going to run after that one thing. I'm going to watch what I have to watch, and I'm going to do what I have to do, and everything is going to be okay. And that's the way, mamish, we have to live our life like that. To understand that it's all Me'ez Hashem. Everything is going to be the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants it, not the way we think. And it's Kakol Me'ez Hashem. Does anyone want to say anything or add anything or any questions or comments? Nothing? Nobody, everybody wants to say nothing? Ernie, come on, Ernie, you have to say, Ernie, you always have something. What? Unmute yourself, Ernie. You're unmuted. Hold on. He has to unmute. Ernie, you're muted. Okay.
Click on the unmute.
Muted.
There we go.
Now?
Yeah, now we hear you.
You just want to say before about Hashem had people all over the world in order that people would be learning Torah at all times. Rabbi Gallup once told us that what he would do with his twin brother was at Messiah Yom Kippur, they would learn about 15, 20 minutes because they figured that this was the time that nobody else would be really learning because they'd be so
Everyone's busy eating.
going home and eating.
Everyone's going to be eating.
So,
Beautiful.
They would keep Torah alive all the time. They will learn about 15, 20 minutes.
And this way, someone will eat something and then they'll start to learn and then they can go to eat something. It's so beautiful.
Right, yeah.
Beautiful.
So that what you just said reminded me of Rabbi Gallup's story.
Amazing. Thank you, Ernie.